the universe changes. It expands, cools, transforms as if it has its own seasons. This audiobook invites you to discover whether the cosmos, like Earth, goes through cycles, eras of creation and destruction, of light and darkness that could repeat over billions of years. What if what we experience today is just another phase of a universe that breathes, renews itself, and starts over? A journey through the deep pulse of cosmic time, where everything, even the eternal, has its rhythm. Cycles are a fundamental part of existence. From the water cycle that nourishes our planet to the cycles of the seasons that bring changes in flora and fauna, everything is interconnected in a great cosmic machinery. But what happens when we look beyond our world? How do these cycles intertwine with the lives of stars and galaxies? It is an intriguing journey that leads us to explore the very nature of the universe. Did you know that the life cycle of a star can last millions of years? From its birth in a nebula to its eventual death in a titanic explosion called a supernova, each stage is essential for the creation of new elements and, ultimately, for the formation of planets and life. But why is it important to understand this cycle? Each star is a factory of elements, and those elements are the same that compose our bodies and everything around us. Without these stars, life as we know it would not exist. Speaking of life, the connection between cosmic cycles and the evolution of life on Earth is another fascinating aspect. Changes in climate, seasons, and other astronomical phenomena not only affect ecosystems but also influence the evolution of species. Have you ever wondered how cycles on other planets could affect life there? The possibility of similar cycles existing on distant worlds opens up a myriad of questions about our own existence. The Big Bang Theory, which describes the beginning of the universe, also leads us to reflect on cycles. This event not only marked the beginning of time and space, but also establishes a cycle in itself. Could it be that the universe is destined to expand and contract, repeating its story over and over again? The idea of infinite cycles raises questions about the ultimate fate of the cosmos. As we delve deeper, we encounter intriguing concepts like dark matter and dark energy. Although we cannot see them, we know they make up most of our universe. How do these components influence cosmic cycles and the way the universe is structured? The answer may lie in their role as invisible architects of the reality we know. It is also fascinating to think about the formation of planets, which occurs in protoplanetary disks around newly born stars. This process is a cycle in itself, where dust and gas come together to form celestial bodies that could harbor life. How are these planetary cycles linked to the life cycles of the stars that create them? This relationship is a reminder that everything in the universe is connected in surprising ways. Cycles not only impact space but also time. The precession of the equinoxes, a phenomenon that causes the points of seasonal change to shift slowly, affects our calendars and therefore our daily lives. Have you stopped to think about how these subtle changes can have a profound impact on our culture and our worldview? Throughout history, the moon has played a crucial role in the cycles of life on Earth. Its phases influence the tides and, by extension, many coastal ecosystems. But what is the true extent of its influence? From agriculture to human customs, the moon has been a beacon guiding many civilizations through time. The theory of relativity also invites us to reflect on the nature of time and its relationship with cosmic cycles. What does time really mean in the context of the universe? Relativity shows us that time is not a constant but can be influenced by gravity and speed. This concept can change our perception of cycles and how we experience them in our daily lives. Black holes are another intriguing aspect of cosmic cycles. These mysterious objects not only devour matter but can also influence the evolution of their galaxies. What cycles do black holes go through in their lives? And how do they affect the environment around them? The answer leads us to a sea of possibilities that challenge our current understanding. As we reflect on the lives of solar systems, it is essential to recognize that each one has its own cycle. From formation to possible extinction, solar systems evolve and change over time. What patterns can we observe in these cycles, and how do they relate to our own solar system? Finally, the multiverse theory adds another layer of complexity to our exploration. Could there be a cycle in other universes that is completely different from ours? The idea of multiple realities raises questions about the meaning of existence and how cycles might vary from one universe to another. As we delve into this exploration of the cycles of the universe, it is essential to remember that everything is interconnected. Each cycle, whether of a star, a planet, or even a black hole, contributes to the vast network of existence. By understanding these cycles, we not only learn about the universe, but also begin to better understand our own history and our place in this magnificent cosmos. The seasons of the year are like a teacher that teaches us about the natural rhythm of our planet. Each season brings with it a unique set of changes that impact not only our environment but also our lives. Have you ever stopped to think about how these variations affect animals, plants, and even us human beings? The Earth moves in its journey around the Sun, and this journey not only determines the temperature and the amount of light we receive, but also sets the compass for the cycle of the seasons. Spring, summer, autumn, and winter. Each of these seasons has its own character. In spring, life blossoms with new beginnings. Trees sprout green leaves, flowers awaken from their winter slumber, and animals emerge from their shelters. But what triggers this awakening? The tilt of the Earth's axis plays a crucial role. As the planet rotates, different areas receive more sunlight at different times of the year. This cosmic dance is what causes the seasons. In summer, the days lengthen and the heat intensifies. It is a time of growth and abundance. Why are the harvests richer in this season? The greater amount of sunlight and warmer temperatures allow plants to grow quickly, producing food that sustains millions of living beings. This cycle of growth is not limited to agriculture. Animals, for example, also take advantage of summer to feed and prepare for the coming months. When autumn arrives, nature begins to prepare for winter. The leaves change color, creating a spectacle of warm tones that reminds us of the beauty of transience. But behind this transformation is a fascinating biological process. Plants begin to store energy and nutrients, preparing for the cold times. Have you ever wondered how plants know when it is time to do this? The answer lies in their ability to perceive changes in light and temperature. Winter, in contrast, brings silence and calm. Landscapes are covered in snow and many animals enter a state of hibernation. Why is this period of rest so important? During winter, resources are scarce, and hibernating allows animals to conserve energy. This cycle of activity and rest is vital for survival. Thus, the seasons are not just climatic changes, but also lessons about adaptation and resilience. The impact of the seasons goes beyond nature. How does this affect human cultures? From harvest celebrations to spring festivals, the seasons have shaped our traditions and customs. In many parts of the world, the arrival of spring is a symbol of rebirth, while autumn represents gratitude for the fruits of the earth. The seasons connect us with the rhythms of the natural world, reminding us that we are part of a larger cycle. The cycle of the seasons also teaches us about the passage of time. As we experience changes, we mark milestones in our lives. Do you remember how you felt in each of the seasons when you were a child? The arrival of spring meant playing outdoors, while winter brought the excitement of holidays. The emotional connection we have with the seasons is deep and personal, weaving memories that we carry with us through the years. However, in a constantly changing world, the seasons are also undergoing transformations. Global warming is altering weather patterns, causing some species of plants and animals to adapt rapidly. This raises a crucial question. How will climate change affect the seasonal cycles we know? The answer to this question is vital not only for nature, but also for our survival as a species. As we move forward in our journey through the cosmos, the cycle of the seasons reminds us that everything is interconnected. The way the Earth moves and spins around the Sun influences the life that flourishes on its surface. How can we learn from these cycles to live more sustainably? Reflecting on our relationship with the earth and the seasons can help us find balance in our lives and in the world around us. Each season is a reminder that life is a constant cycle of renewal and change. By observing nature, we can learn to embrace our own transitions and understand that just like the seasons, our lives also have periods of growth, rest, and transformation. The key is to recognize the beauty of these cycles and to live in harmony with them. In conclusion, the cycle of the seasons is not just a natural phenomenon, but a profound lesson about life, adaptation, and time. By understanding how these cycles affect our world, we can more fully appreciate the intricate web of life in which we are all connected. Thus, each change of season can be seen as an opportunity to reflect on our place in the universe and the importance of caring for our home, the Earth. If you're enjoying this journey through the universe and want to keep exploring more cosmic mysteries, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Thank you for being part of this Star Odyssey. In the vast universe, stars are like the protagonists of an epic story that spans millions of years. From their birth in clouds of gas and dust to their explosive death, each star follows a cycle as fascinating as it is complex. Have you ever wondered how those bright spheres that adorn our night sky are formed? The answer begins in the most unexpected place, a nebula. Nebulas are immense clouds of gas and dust floating in space. Imagine a large bag of cotton, but instead of being soft and white, it is made up of elements like hydrogen, helium, and other chemical compounds. Within these nebulas, gravity begins to act. When a region of the nebula becomes dense enough, gravity pulls more material toward it, initiating a process that will lead to a new star. This moment may seem magical, but it is the result of physical forces that have been at work since the beginning of time. As matter accumulates, the temperature and pressure at the center of this protostar increase. What happens next? At this point, hydrogen atoms begin to fuse, creating helium and releasing an immense amount of energy in the form of light and heat. It's like turning on a giant light bulb in the darkness of space. This explosion of energy is what ultimately transforms the protostar into a bright and stable star, marking the beginning of its life. Once the star is born, it enters a phase that can last billions of years. During this time, it remains in balance due to the pressure of nuclear fusion in its core, which pushes outward, and gravity, which tries to collapse it. Think of this as a game of push and pull. The star becomes a beacon in the sky, illuminating the darkness and providing warmth to the planets that orbit around it. But what happens when a star runs out of fuel? This is a critical moment in its life. Depending on its mass, the star can follow different paths. Smaller stars like the Sun will become red giants. Imagine a beach ball inflating, but instead of air, it fills with helium. This process is fascinating, as during this phase, the star can engulf some of its closest planets like a huge balloon, swallowing everything around it. When a red giant star exhausts its fuel, its core collapses and, in a final act of grandeur, it can explode in a supernova. This event is like a cosmic fireworks display. The explosion is so powerful that it can shine brighter than an entire galaxy for a brief period. But did you know that these explosions are also responsible for creating heavy elements? The atoms that make up everything we see, from the iron in our blood to the carbon in the leaves of trees, are forged in these stellar explosions. However, not all stars end their lives in the same way. The most massive stars, those that are several times larger than our Sun, collapse into black holes. These mysterious objects are like cosmic vacuum cleaners that devour everything that comes too close. But what happens to the matter that stars expel at the end of their lives? That matter disperses through space and can give rise to new stars and planets, thus continuing the cycle of creation. The life of a star is an infinite cycle of birth, life, and death. But why is this so important to us? Stars are not just lights in the sky. They are factories of elements that form the basis of our existence. Without the life cycle of stars, there would be no essential elements for life as we know it. Every time we look up at the sky, we are actually seeing the legacy of these incredible cosmic explosions. Moreover, the life cycle of stars is intertwined with the passage of time and the evolution of the universe itself. When a star is born, it contributes to the formation of new structures in the cosmos, such as galaxies and planetary systems. This process is a reminder that everything is connected and that our own lives are influenced by these large-scale cycles. Reflecting on the life cycle of stars, it is fascinating to think about how our own stories resemble those of these brilliant celestial bodies. From birth to death, we all go through stages of transformation and evolution. Just as stars leave a legacy through the elements they create, we also leave marks on our environment and in the lives of those around us. In conclusion, the cycle of stars is a marvelous cosmic dance that not only gives life to elements but also reminds us that we are part of a constantly changing universe. When we look up at the stars on a clear night, we do not just see light, we see the past, present and future of everything around us. Every star that shines in the sky is a testament to the beauty of life and death in the cosmos, and how, through endless cycles, life goes on. How many times have you looked up at the sky and wondered how those enormous bright structures we see at night were formed? Galaxies, those vast collections of stars, gas and dust, are like islands in an immense cosmic ocean. But how are they born, evolve and eventually fade away? To understand the life of galaxies, we must travel through time and space, exploring their life cycle. Each galaxy begins its existence in the depths of the universe, in dense regions of gas and dust. These areas, filled with dark matter, are like seeds waiting to be sown. But what makes these seeds germinate and become galaxies? The answer lies in gravity, a powerful force that pulls matter towards itself. When enough gas and dust gather, they begin to collapse under their own weight, giving rise to a new galactic birth. Imagine a bubble in a liquid. As the bubble rises, it expands and forms a sphere. Something similar happens with galaxies in their early moments. As they collapse, the matter begins to spin, forming a disk that eventually becomes the spiral structure we see in many of them. But what makes a galaxy spiral, elliptical, or irregular? The answers lie in the amount and distribution of the matter that composes it. As well as its history of collisions and mergers, galaxies are not solitary entities. In fact, many of them live in groups known as clusters. In this environment, galaxies can interact with each other, merging and changing shape. What happens if two galaxies meet? In a cosmic encounter, they could intertwine, creating new stars in the process. This phenomenon is like two rivers coming together, forming a larger and more powerful flow. Thus, galaxies evolve and transform over billions of years. The life of a galaxy is also marked by its ability to create new stars. In their cores, galaxies harbor enormous amounts of gas and dust, which act as raw material for star formation. When conditions are right, these clouds of gas collapse, giving rise to new stars. But what happens to the stars that have already lived their cycle? When they die, they release heavy elements into space, enriching the interstellar medium and providing the necessary material for the creation of new generations of stars and planets. However, not all galaxies have the same fate. Some, like our own Milky Way, will continue to exist for billions of years, creating new stars and solar systems. Others, on the other hand, may face a dramatic end. By merging with other galaxies, they can lose their original shape and transform into a new type of galaxy. Is it possible that our Milky Way will also merge with another galaxy? The answer is yes. In about 4 billion years, it is expected to collide with the Andromeda galaxy, giving rise to a new and fascinating cosmic object. In addition to mergers, galaxies can also experience a process of extinction. As they consume all their gas and dust to form stars, they eventually run out of material to create new ones. This can lead to a gradual cooling, where star activity decreases and the galaxy becomes inert. In this scenario, a galaxy becomes a relic of its former splendor, reminding us of the ephemeral nature of the cosmos. The way we observe galaxies also influences our understanding of their life. The light that reaches us from them has traveled billions of years to get to us, offering a glimpse into the past. Thus, when we observe a galaxy, we are actually looking at how it was a long time ago. This phenomenon is like looking at an old photo of a friend. In it, you see the person they used to be, not necessarily who they are now. In this vast universe, the diversity of galaxies is astonishing. From spirals with their spiral-shaped arms to ellipticals, which are more rounded and smooth, each type has its own story to tell. Additionally, there are irregular galaxies that do not fit into any of these categories, displaying a variety of shapes and sizes that challenge our expectations. What role do galaxies play in the grand scheme of the universe? They are the building blocks of cosmic structure, forming networks that connect with each other through gravity. By studying galaxies, we not only learn about their evolution, but also about the history of the universe itself. Each galaxy is a chapter in a cosmic book that we are still trying to decipher. The life cycle of galaxies reminds us that, although they may seem eternal, they are also subject to changes and transformations. Understanding these cycles helps us appreciate the beauty and complexity of the universe. It teaches us that everything is interconnected, from the stars in the sky to us here on Earth. As we continue to explore the cosmos, each discovery about galaxies brings us a little closer to unveiling the secrets of the universe. Who knows how many wonders are still to be discovered? In the vast and mysterious universe, galaxies continue their cosmic dance, a constant reminder that in life everything has a cycle. The Big Bang, an event that occurred approximately 13,800,000,000 years ago, is considered the starting point of time and space as we know it. But what does this really mean? How does it relate to the idea of cycles in the universe? To understand it, we need to break down the essence of this phenomenon. Imagine an explosion, but not just any explosion. Visualize an immense expansion that not only throws debris but also gives rise to time itself. Before this event, there was no before because time had not yet begun. In this sense, the Big Bang is more than just a simple burst. It is the beginning of everything that exists, the first chapter of a cosmic book that continues to be written. But what comes after that explosive beginning? The Big Bang theory not only speaks of a beginning, but also raises intriguing questions about the future of the universe. Could there be an end? Some scientists suggest that the universe might be destined to experience cycles of expansion and contraction, like a kind of cosmic breath. Imagine a huge balloon that inflates and deflates, repeating this process over and over. Could it be that our universe is destined to live multiple lives, each beginning with a Big Bang? But how do we know that the Big Bang actually happened? The evidence lies in the echo it left behind. Scientists have detected a background radiation, a soft whisper that originated in the early moments of the universe. This radiation, known as cosmic microwave background radiation, is like the echo of an orchestra that played its first symphony billions of years ago. Isn't it amazing to think that by looking at the sky, we are actually hearing the echoes of our own origin? As the universe expanded after the Big Bang, it began to cool. In this process, subatomic particles came together to form atoms. At one point, hydrogen and helium became the building blocks of everything we know. What would happen if these atoms had not formed? The answer is simple. We wouldn't be here. Without those atoms, there would be no stars, no planets, and no life. So thanks to the Big Bang, we have the necessary material to build the universe. However, the Big Bang raises another fascinating question, the notion of cycles. If the universe is expanding, does it mean that it could eventually collapse? Some theories suggest that there could be a big crunch, where gravity pulls everything back to a singular point, just as it happened at the beginning. In this context, the universe could experience an endless cycle of births and deaths, like a phoenix rising from its own ashes. But what about the expansion? As the universe expands, it does so at an accelerated rate. This is thanks to a mysterious force called dark energy. Imagine you are on a train that is going faster and faster. And as it moves forward, you feel like the journey will never end. Dark energy acts like that engine that pushes the universe to keep expanding. But what does this mean for the future of our cosmos? In this scenario of continuous expansion, The universe could reach a state where stars extinguish and matter disperses. This is what some scientists call the Big Freeze, a cold and dark future in which the cosmos would cool down to a state of thermal equilibrium. At that point, the cycles that once gave life to stars and galaxies could be just distant memories. So what role does the Big Bang play in our understanding of time? It teaches us that time is a flexible entity, a concept that was born with the universe. Before the Big Bang, there was no time in the sense that we understand it. This leads us to reflect on how the cycles of the universe affect our perception of time. If time began with an explosion, can we imagine a time that could end or reset? As we explore the Big Bang and its impact on the cycles of the universe, it is crucial to recognize that we are part of this vast story. Every atom in our body was formed from elements created in stars that lived and died. So in a sense, we are the result of a stellar cycle that began with the Big Bang. When we look at the night sky, we don't just see stars, we see the story of our origin, a reminder that we are connected to the cosmos. Finally, the Big Bang theory invites us to reflect on our position in the vast panorama of the universe. We are not mere spectators. We are active participants in a continuous cycle of creation and destruction. The next time you look at the stars, think of the moment when everything began, that explosive instant that gave rise to life, time, and existence itself. The story of the universe is ultimately a story of cycles, and we are the narrators of this cosmic tale. The expansion of the universe is a fascinating phenomenon that has captured the attention of scientists and curious minds alike. How is it that the cosmos, instead of being static, is constantly moving apart? To understand this process, it is essential to talk about the Big Bang, that event that marked the beginning of everything we know. However, the expansion does not stop there. It is in constant motion and has profound implications for the way we perceive time and space. Visualize a sheet of paper with points drawn on it. If you started to stretch that sheet, you would notice that the points move away from each other. In a sense, this is what happens with the universe. Each galaxy, like a point on that sheet, moves away from the others as space itself expands. This phenomenon was discovered in the 1930s by astronomer Edwin Hubble, who observed that the light from distant galaxies was redshifted, indicating that they were moving away from us. What does it really mean for the universe to expand? First, it is important to understand that it is not that galaxies are moving through space, but rather that space itself is expanding. This idea can be a bit perplexing, but think of a balloon. When you inflate a balloon, the points drawn on its surface separate as air enters. Thus, the space between galaxies is widening, and what once seemed close becomes more distant. Now, what drives this continuous expansion? The answer lies in a mysterious form of energy known as dark energy. Although we cannot see or touch it, it is believed to represent about 70% of the total energy of the universe. This energy has the strange property of pushing the universe to expand more rapidly. Imagine you are pushing a friend on a swing. At first, you help them move smoothly, but as you keep pushing, the motion becomes more intense. This is how dark energy affects the universe, accelerating its expansion. The question that arises is, where is the universe expanding to? Contrary to what we might think, there is no center from which it expands. Because the universe has no edges or boundaries like a sphere we can touch. Every point in the universe can be considered the center from its own perspective. This can be confusing, but it is one of the wonders of cosmology. Each galaxy is in relative motion to the others, and in that sense, all can be considered the center of their own universe. And what about the implications of this expansion? If the universe continues to expand, what does it mean for its future? Some theories suggest that if dark energy continues to drive the expansion, the universe could end in a state of big freeze, where galaxies would move so far apart that they would eventually become invisible. In this scenario, stars would extinguish and the cosmos would be a cold, dark place. On the other hand, there is the possibility that the expansion could stop and the universe could begin to contract. leading to a big crunch where everything could collapse back into a single point. But how does this affect our daily lives? Although these questions may seem abstract, the expansion of the universe invites us to reflect on our place in the cosmos. The distance between galaxies and their constant movement reminds us that the universe is in a state of perpetual change. Every star we see in the sky is actually an echo of the past, as the light traveling towards us may have begun its journey billions of years ago. Through this exploration, we can also ask ourselves, what does time mean in an expanding universe? Human perception of time is tied to cycles such as day and night, the seasons, and life itself. However, in an expanding cosmos, time could be a more fluid and less linear experience than we imagine. Each moment could be a point in a vast fabric that stretches and distorts. The expansion of the universe also leads us to consider the possibility of life beyond Earth. Could there be other civilizations observing the same stars as we do, wondering the same things? The idea that other forms of life might exist and that they could be facing similar questions about their own place in the cosmos is both exciting and unsettling. Finally, understanding the expansion of the universe reminds us that our existence is just a chapter in a much broader story. Human curiosity drives us to explore, to learn, and to understand. Every discovery about the cosmos, from expansion to dark energy, brings us a little closer to unraveling the mysteries of the universe. Thus, when we look to the stars, we not only observe the past, but also prepare for the future. That future which is in constant expansion. What happens when you look at the night sky and wonder what lies beyond the stars? It's a mystery that has intrigued humanity for centuries. In this vast universe, dark matter and dark energy play crucial roles. But they are so elusive that they often seem more like fantasy than reality. What are these components that seem to be everywhere yet we cannot see? Dark matter, as its name suggests, is a form of matter that does not emit light or radiation. Imagine you are at a party in the dark. Even though you can't see the people, you feel that there are more people in the room by the way the air moves around you. Dark matter does something similar. Its presence is felt through its gravitational influence on stars and galaxies. Without it, the universe as we know it could not exist. But why is dark matter so important? Without it, galaxies would spin at a speed that would cause them to fly apart completely. Stars would scatter into space, and there wouldn't be enough force to keep galaxies together. So even though we cannot see or touch it, dark matter is a cosmic glue that holds everything we know together. Now let's move on to dark energy, which is even more mysterious. This ghost-like entity is behind the acceleration in the expansion of the universe. Imagine you are inflating a balloon. At first, the air goes in slowly and steadily, but suddenly it starts to expand faster. That's what dark energy is doing to the universe. It is pushing space as it expands, and no one knows for sure where it comes from. But what does this mean for us? Dark energy makes up about 70% of the universe. If we think of the universe as a big cake, the visible matter would be just the small part that can be seen on the surface, while dark matter and dark energy make up most of the cake hidden from view. This leads us to question our understanding of the universe. How can we know something we cannot see? The relationship between dark matter and dark energy is like a cosmic dance. Dark matter provides the necessary gravity to hold the structures of the universe, while dark energy acts as the force that pushes it toward expansion. However, there is still much for us to discover. What happens when these forces come into conflict? Could there be a point where dark energy becomes strong enough to dismantle everything we know? Some scientists believe that dark matter could be made up of yet-to-be-discovered particles, while others suggest that dark energy could be a field that extends throughout the universe. The truth is that we are still in search of answers. Each new discovery in particle physics and cosmology could change our view of the cosmos. An interesting analogy is to think of the universe as a vast ocean. Visible matter would be like the waves breaking on the shore, something we can see and touch. Dark matter, on the other hand, would be like the underground current flowing beneath the surface, invisible but powerful. Dark energy would be like the wind blowing at your back, pushing you forward without you noticing. Together they create a complex and dynamic system. The search for dark matter and dark energy has led to the creation of enormous experiments and telescopes around the world. From the Large Hadron Collider in Europe to space telescopes observing the cosmic microwave background, scientists are trying to unravel these mysteries. Human curiosity has taken us to the farthest reaches of the universe, seeking answers that explain our place in it. However, despite all our advances, we may never directly see dark matter or dark energy. Perhaps these entities are part of a larger puzzle that we have yet to begin to understand. Imagine being a fish in the ocean, unaware that there is a world outside the water. That's how we might feel in our quest to understand the universe. As we reflect on these concepts, it is essential to remember that every answer we find sometimes generates even more questions. Science is not just a series of answers, but a continuous journey of discovery. So when we look at the stars, we are not only observing the past, but also trying to understand the future and our role in the grand theater of the cosmos. In conclusion, dark matter and dark energy are two of the greatest enigmas of the universe. They push us to think beyond the obvious and question what we believe we know. As we advance in our cosmic exploration, each small discovery brings us closer to the truth. What new wonders will we find in this vast ocean of the universe? The search has only just begun. How do planets form? It is one of the big questions we ask ourselves when we look at the starry sky. The answer is fascinating and begins long before we can imagine. It all starts in a vast cloud of gas and dust, known as a nebula. This cosmic cloud, composed mainly of hydrogen and helium, is like a gigantic workshop where stars are forged. But what makes this cloud turn into a planet? The key lies in gravity. When a part of the nebula begins to collapse under its own gravity, a dense core forms that heats up as it compacts. This core is the embryo of a star, but the process doesn't stop there. Around it, the material that doesn't become a star begins to spin and flatten, forming a protoplanetary disk. In this disk, small particles of dust and gas start to come together, forming larger bodies. Can you imagine a kind of cosmic construction game on a large scale? As these bodies group together, some become planets, while others may turn into asteroids or comets. This process of accumulation and growth can take millions of years. So the next time you look at the moon, think that during its formation, it may have been surrounded by other small bodies competing to become planets. Isn't it amazing to think about the history that each corner of space holds? Planets are not simply inert spheres floating in space. Each one has its own story, its own life cycle. From the moment they form, they begin to experience changes. For example, Earth, in its early days, was an extremely hot and volcanic place. Over time, it began to cool, allowing the formation of a solid crust and eventually oceans. But how does the formation of a planet affect life itself? The answer lies in its location and characteristics. A planet in the habitable zone, which is the region around a star where conditions are suitable for the existence of liquid water, is much more likely to develop life. Imagine that life is like a plant that needs the right climate to grow. It cannot flourish in a scorching desert, but it can in a well-tended garden. Planets also evolve throughout their lives. As millions of years pass, they can go through different cycles. They can be bombarded by asteroids, experience changes in their atmosphere, and suffer impacts that alter their surface. Earth, for example, has gone through various geological eras, each with its own climate and ecosystems. Isn't it interesting to think about how the same planet can be so different over time? And it's not just Earth that has its story. Mars, which was once a warm and wet planet, is now cold and dry. There are theories suggesting it may have harbored life at some point. This leads us to the question: what other secrets do the planets in our solar system and beyond hold? The formation of planets is not limited to our home. In the vast expanse of the universe, astronomers have discovered protoplanetary disks around other stars. With powerful telescopes, they have been able to observe how new planetary systems form in real time. This discovery has opened the door to many questions. Are there Earth-like planets in other systems? Could they harbor life? Every time we discover a new planet, we expand our understanding of the cosmos. The diversity of planets is astonishing, from gas giants like Jupiter, which are enormous and primarily made of gas, to rocky planets like Venus and Earth. Each has its own cycle of formation and evolution. Sometimes planets are even found orbiting in unconventional zones, challenging our understanding of what a planetary system should be like. The connection between planet formation and stellar life cycles is undeniable. When a star dies, it can leave behind a nebula that, in turn, will fuel the formation of new planets. This cycle of birth and death, of creation and destruction, is fundamental to the dynamics of the universe. So every time a star explodes in a supernova, it is sowing the seed for future planetary systems. Planets are much more than simple celestial bodies. They are the stage on which the story of life unfolds. Earth, for example, is not only a home for humans, but also for an astonishing variety of species. Every life cycle on our planet is interconnected, and all are influenced by the cosmic cycles that surround them. As we explore more about planet formation, we wonder, what is humanity's role in all this? We are a small part of a vast system, but our curiosity drives us to seek answers. Every discovery we make about planets, their cycles, and their evolution brings us one step closer to understanding our place in the universe. In summary, planet formation is a fascinating process that shows us how the forces of the cosmos shape our home and many other worlds. Each planet has a unique story, and by learning about them, we not only understand more about the universe, but also about ourselves. And so we continue to seek, explore, and marvel at the grandeur of the cosmos. The evolution of life on Earth is a fascinating tale intertwined with the cosmic cycles of the universe. Each cycle, from the movement of planets to the explosions of stars, has left its mark on the history of our planet. But how do cosmic cycles influence life as we know it? To understand this, it is helpful to think of life as a series of chapters in an endless book, where each chapter is marked by changes that reflect the rhythms of the cosmos. The Earth, in its journey around the Sun, experiences seasons that not only affect the climate, but also life itself. Have you noticed how flowers bloom in spring, trees shed their leaves in autumn, and animals prepare for winter? These changes are part of a great cycle that repeats every year and has allowed life to adapt and evolve. As the Earth spins and moves, sunlight and temperature change, enabling the diversity of ecosystems we know. Let's take a moment to think about the life cycles of species. When an animal reproduces, its offspring carry the genetic information of their ancestors. This means that over time, species can adapt to changes in their environment. If the climate becomes warmer, those individuals that are more resistant to high temperatures are more likely to survive and reproduce. This process is known as natural selection, and it is a cycle that has repeated for millions of years. But what does all this have to do with cosmic cycles? The answer lies in the elements that make up life itself. The atoms that form our cells were created in the hearts of stars. When these stars explode, they release those elements into space, where they can form new planets and eventually new forms of life. Thus, every time we look at the sky and see a star, we are witnessing the spark of life that could have given rise to something on our planet. This cycle of birth, death, and rebirth is fundamental in the history of the universe. Earth is not alone on this journey. Other planets in our solar system have also experienced cycles of change that may have led to life, even if we do not know it. Mars, for example, once had water and a warmer climate. What if one day it were discovered that life existed there, even if just for a brief moment? This scenario invites us to reflect on how cosmic cycles may influence the evolution of life, not only on our planet but in other corners of the universe. Cosmic cycles can also influence how humans have adapted to our environment. From agriculture, which depends on the seasons, to the migration of animals that follows cyclical patterns. Our lives are intertwined with the rhythms of nature. How does this affect our health and well-being? The rhythm of the seasons can influence our mood and sleep patterns, demonstrating that we are deeply connected to the cosmos. In many ways, the history of life on Earth is a testament to resilience and adaptability. Throughout the ages, life has faced catastrophes, from asteroid impacts to drastic climate changes, yet each time, life has found a way to recover. This process of adaptation resembles a cycle of renewal, where each end also marks a new beginning. The search for life on other planets is also related to the evolution of life on Earth. Scientists are exploring exoplanets, looking for conditions that could support life. Could similar cycles exist on other worlds? The answer to this question could change our understanding of life itself and our place in the universe. If we find life on another planet, what implications would this have for our history? The cycles in the evolution of life are not only fascinating but also offer us an important lesson about the interconnectedness of all that exists. Every being, every ecosystem is part of a larger cycle. This reminds us that our actions have repercussions not only on our own species but on the fabric of life as a whole. Caring for our environment is essential to ensure that the cycles of life continue. The relationship between cosmic cycles and life also invites us to consider our own existence. Let us reflect on how our experiences, our struggles, and our triumphs are part of a broader cycle. Just as the seasons change, our lives are also in constant transformation. Each day offers us the opportunity to start anew, to adapt and to grow. As we continue to explore the cosmos and seek answers to fundamental questions, it is crucial to remember that we are part of a vast cycle of life. Understanding how cosmic cycles influence the evolution of life brings us a little closer to understanding our connection to the universe. And although it may sometimes seem that we are alone, we are actually part of an interconnected web that spans time and space. The next time you look at the stars, remember that within each twinkle lies a story of life, cycles, and opportunities. The evolution of life is a cosmic dance, and we are the dancers on this infinite stage. The story of life continues to be written, and each cycle we complete brings us one step closer to understanding our role in the grand scheme of the universe. Did you know that Earth is not just a simple planet spinning in space? Its movement has a profound effect on our daily lives, and one of the most fascinating phenomena that arises from this movement is the precession of the equinoxes. This phenomenon, although often overlooked, has a significant impact on climate cycles and the way humans have organized their time throughout history. The precession of the equinoxes is a gradual change in the orientation of Earth's rotation axis. But how does this translate into everyday life? Imagine that Earth's axis is like a spinning top. As it spins, the top not only moves in a circle but also wobbles slowly. This wobbling motion of the top is similar to what happens with Earth's axis, which moves in a cycle of approximately 26,000 years. This movement has fascinating consequences. For example, the equinoxes, which are the moments when day and night have the same duration, do not always occur on the same dates. As Earth spins and moves through its precession cycle, the equinoxes slowly shift across the calendar. But why is this important? The answer lies in how ancient civilizations used this phenomenon to develop their calendars and understand the cycles of the seasons. Ancient cultures, such as the Egyptians and the Mayans, paid attention to changes in the position of the stars and the equinoxes, as this helped them predict planting and harvest seasons. Can you imagine what life would be like without this understanding of cycles? Agriculture, religion, and even festivities were deeply tied to the observation of the sky. The precession of the equinoxes provided these civilizations with a cosmic compass that guided their lives. Delving a bit deeper, precession also relates to the tilt of Earth's axis. This tilt affects the amount of sunlight different parts of the planet receive throughout the year, which in turn influences climate patterns. Did you know that this can change the duration of seasons in certain regions over thousands of years? For example, what we consider summer today could become winter in a few thousand years due to this phenomenon. Interestingly, precession also impacts how we experience time. As Earth's axis shifts, the constellations we see in the night sky also change slowly. This means that, in the distant future, the stars we recognize today as part of certain constellations could look completely different. Our view of the sky is, in a sense, ephemeral and ever-changing. As Earth goes through this cycle, other cosmic phenomena also occur. For example, gravitational interactions with other celestial bodies, such as the Moon and the Sun, can influence precession and consequently our climate. The Moon, for its part, also has its own cycle that affects tides and consequently coastal ecosystems. Have you ever wondered how a simple movement of a planet can cause changes in the lives of so many species? It's fascinating to think that these cycles not only affect Earth but the entire solar system. Imagine a vast cosmic clock where each gear plays an essential role. The precession of the equinoxes is just one of the many pieces of this complex mechanism. As the universe expands and evolves, the behavior of celestial bodies intertwines in a cosmic dance that has existed for millennia. However, precession is not an isolated phenomenon. The history of humanity is marked by its relationship with the sky. Ancient cultures used the position of the stars and the equinoxes not only for agriculture but also to build monuments and structures aligned with astronomical events. The famous Pyramid of Giza, for example, is aligned with the constellation Orion, reflecting the importance that ancient Egyptians placed on these cosmic cycles. Today, we still feel the influence of the precession of the equinoxes in our lives, albeit in a more abstract way. The way we organize our time, our festivities, and our climate expectations has roots that trace back to the understanding of these cycles. As we move into the future, knowledge and adaptation to these patterns will remain crucial for our survival as a species. So, the next time you look up at the sky and observe the stars, remember that you are not just witnessing a visual spectacle, you are part of a cosmic process that has been ongoing for thousands of years. The precession of the equinoxes is just one of the many tools that allows us to understand our place in the vast universe. In a world where time seems to fly, taking a moment to reflect on these cosmic connections can provide us with a new perspective on our existence. The dance of planets and stars reminds us that we are part of something much larger, an endless cycle that invites us to be aware of our surroundings and the rhythms that envelop us. It is a reminder that, despite our daily concerns, the universe continues its course, marking time consistently, yet never the same. How many times have you looked up at the sky and wondered what lies beyond what we see? The moon, that bright satellite that accompanies us every night, is not only an object of admiration but also plays a crucial role in the life of our planet. But did you know that lunar cycles have a profound impact on our lives? From tides to our emotions, the moon influences more than we imagine. Tides, for example, are perhaps the most visible effect of lunar influence. When the moon is in its full or new phase, its gravitational pull is stronger, causing higher tides. This phenomenon resembles a dance between the Earth and the moon, where the force of attraction pulls the waters of the oceans, causing them to rise and fall rhythmically. Have you ever wondered why some beaches have more pronounced tides than others? This is due to the shape of the coastline, the depth of the sea, and other factors that play a role in how tides manifest. But the lunar cycle doesn't just affect the waters. In many crops, the moon also has a significant impact. Farmers have observed for centuries that certain phases of the moon are more favorable for planting, harvesting, or pruning. For example, the full moon is considered an ideal time for harvesting, as it is said that plants absorb more light and energy. Is the moon an ally in agriculture? Many believe so, relying on tradition and experience. When looking up at the sky, it's easy to get lost in the beauty of the moon, but its influence goes beyond the physical. Ancient cultures revered the moon, and in many civilizations, its cycle was related to rituals, festivities, and beliefs. From the Aztecs to the Egyptians, the moon played a central role in their calendars and mythologies. Why do you think the moon has been so important to humanity throughout history? Perhaps because its cycle is one of the few constant rhythms we can observe in the sky. Moreover, recent studies have shown that lunar cycles can affect our mood. Some researchers have found correlations between lunar phases and human behavior. During the full moon, for example, some claim that there is more activity and even more insomnia. Could it be that we are more connected to the moon than we think? The idea that the moon influences our emotions and behaviors generates a fascinating debate among scientists and psychologists. Lunar cycles also have an effect on wildlife. Many animals, such as corals, synchronize their reproduction with the phases of the moon. This ensures that their offspring have the best chance of surviving in a changing environment. Isn't it amazing how nature finds such a perfect balance? The moon acts as a cosmic clock, marking time for many species that depend on it for their life cycle. And of course, we cannot forget the importance of the moon in navigation. Since ancient times, navigators have used the moon and its phases to orient themselves at sea. Although today we have advanced technology, the moon remains a reminder of our connection to the cosmos. Can you imagine what life was like for a sailor navigating solely by the moon on a dark night? The influence of the moon extends even to human tides. In some cultures, people carry out rituals during certain phases of the moon, believing that this will bring them good luck or help them with their wishes. Is it possible that the moon has a power over the human mind that we still do not fully understand? The connection between our psyche and the natural cycles of the universe is a topic that deserves to be explored in greater depth. In terms of health, some people believe that lunar phases can influence our sleep cycles. There are those who claim that during the full moon it is harder to sleep, while in other phases sleep is more restorative. Could the moon be a kind of natural alarm clock for our bodies? The relationship between the moon and sleep is a field of study that still has much to discover. The moon also inspires art and poetry. From the Romantics to contemporary artists, many have found in its light a symbol of love, mystery, and nostalgia. What makes the moon such a recurring theme in human creativity? Perhaps it is its unattainable beauty and its constant presence in our lives, reminding us that despite the distance, it is always there. As we delve into understanding the moon and its cycles, it is important to value its role in the balance of life on Earth. From agriculture to our emotions, the moon is a constant reminder that we are interconnected with the universe in ways we are just beginning to understand. The moon, with its beauty and mystery, invites us to reflect on our own existence. How many times have we stopped looking up and gotten lost in its silvery light? Therefore, when observing the moon, we are not just seeing a satellite, but a cosmic companion that marks our lives in countless ways. So the next time you look up at the sky and see the moon, think of its influence, in its phases, in its cycles, and in how, throughout history, it has guided humanity in its own journeys. The moon is undoubtedly a silent witness to our stories and a reminder that we are all connected in this vast universe. What would happen if I told you that time is not what you think? In the vast universe, time can behave in surprising and sometimes puzzling ways. The theory of relativity, formulated by Albert Einstein in the early 20th century, changed our perception of time and space forever. But how does this relate to cosmic cycles? Let's unravel this fascinating topic. Imagine you are on a moving train and you observe how the landscape rushes by at great speed. For you, time seems to follow its usual course. However, for someone who stays at the station, the train appears to reach its destination much faster. This is the essence of relativity. Time is relative and can vary depending on the speed at which you move. But what does this mean when we talk about cycles in the universe? When a star reaches its final stage of life, it transforms into a supernova and then into a black hole. This process may seem instantaneous from Earth, but in reality it can take millions of years. And this is where relativity comes into play. For humans, time is linear, but in the cosmos it can be more complicated. How can we understand these cycles if time is not constant? Time is also affected by gravity. The stronger the gravitational field, the slower time passes. Thus, if you were near a black hole, you would experience time differently. From your perspective, the cycles of stars and galaxies might seem slow, while the rest of the universe moves at an accelerated pace. Can you imagine the feeling of watching the universe change around you while your own time stands still? The idea that time can be shaped by speed and gravity leads us to think about how cosmic cycles intertwine. Every star that is born, lives and dies has a cycle that, from our perspective, seems linear. But when we consider relativity, we realize that what we see is just a fraction of the universe's history. How many stellar life cycles have passed while we only see a part of the experience? Now let's think about how relativity affects us in our daily lives. When we look at the stars on a clear night, we are seeing the past. The light from some stars we see has traveled millions of years to reach our eyes. So in a way, every time we gaze at the sky, we are contemplating cycles that existed long before we were here. What stories are those stars telling us? The human perception of time also influences how we understand the cycles of life. As we age, time seems to accelerate. A year in our childhood might feel like an eon, while a year in adulthood slips by quickly. This phenomenon may be related to how our brain processes time. But what if, in the vast cosmos, the perception of time were even more radically different? The cycles of galaxies and stars are fundamental to the structure of the universe. But when considering relativity, we realize that each of these cycles could be perceived uniquely depending on where we are in space and time. Galaxies can merge and form new structures, but for an observer in a remote location, the entire cycle might resemble an eternal dance where time intertwines with space. Although the theory of relativity may seem complex, its essence is fascinating. It invites us to rethink what we believe we know about time and cycles. Every time we look up at the sky, we are not just observing stars. We are exploring the history of the universe and the cycles that have shaped and transformed reality as we know it. So, how does this relate to our quest for answers about the universe and our place in it? Relativity teaches us that there is much more than meets the eye. Each cycle in the cosmos is not isolated but interconnected in an intricate web of time and space, and in that fabric our own time is just a small thread. As we delve deeper into the universe, we discover that time and cycles play a crucial role. From the life of a star to the fate of galaxies, everything is connected. And although our perception of time is limited, the beauty of cosmic cycles reminds us that there is always more to discover. Considering all this, relativity is not just a scientific theory, it is an invitation to marvel at the complexity of the universe. It teaches us to contemplate the cycles of existence, to appreciate every moment, and to understand that despite our limited perception, we are part of a much larger cycle than ourselves. Thus, every time we look at the stars, let us remember that we are not just seeing light, but also the passage of time and the cycles of life in the vast cosmos. Matter in the universe is like a great endless circle, a constant cycle of creation and destruction. But what does that really mean? In the vast cosmos, matter is not simply a static element, it is in continuous transformation. From the moment it is forged in the heart of a star until it disperses back into space, matter follows a fascinating path. Have you ever wondered how a star is formed? It all begins in a nebula, a dense cloud of gas and dust. Over time, gravity and pressure combine to give rise to a young star. But the curious thing is that, at the end of its life, this star does not disappear. Instead, it becomes something new. The most massive stars end their existence in spectacular explosions called supernovae, releasing enormous amounts of energy and matter into space. It's as if the cosmos is saying, "I'm not done with you yet." The matter expelled from these explosions is not lost. It mixes with the surroundings, cools down, and over time can form new stars, planets, and even life. This leads us to an intriguing question. Could it be that we are made of the same particles that once formed a distant star? The answer is a resounding yes. Every atom in our body has a story to tell, a connection to the universe around us. This recycling of matter is not limited to stars. It also occurs in galaxies where gas and dust clump together, forming new stellar systems. It is an endless cycle of birth and death. Dark matter, that mysterious component that makes up a large part of the universe, also plays a crucial role in this process, although its nature remains an enigma. What if one day we manage to understand it completely? As stars die, they release heavy elements that become the building blocks of everything we know. Elements like carbon and oxygen, essential for life, are the result of generations of stars that lived and died. Every time you look at the starry sky, you are seeing a graveyard of stars and a potential home for new forms of life. It is a reminder that death is not the end, but simply a new beginning. When a star explodes in a supernova, massive amounts of matter are scattered. But what happens to that matter? It becomes part of a larger cycle. It can be absorbed by a new star in formation or incorporated into a protoplanetary disk, where planets develop. This cycle ensures that matter is never completely lost. There is always a chance for it to return to life in some new form. The Earth itself is a perfect example of this cycle. The elements that compose it have their roots in stars that existed billions of years ago. Every tree, every river, every living being we see today is ultimately a product of the recycled matter of the universe. This thought connects us to the cosmos in a deep and meaningful way. It reminds us that we are part of something much larger. Have you ever wondered how this cycle influences daily life? The cycles of matter are not only seen in the grandeur of the universe, but they are also evident in our environment. The decomposition of organic matter on Earth, for example, regenerates nutrients in the soil, allowing new plants to grow. It is a cycle that repeats over and over. A reminder that everything has its place in the grand scheme of the cosmos. However, there is one aspect that is often overlooked: energy. The cycle of matter is intimately linked to the cycle of energy in the universe. When stars die, they release not only matter but also energy in forms that can be harnessed by other celestial bodies. This interconnection between matter and energy is a cosmic dance that sustains life. Over time, even black holes, those mysterious matter devourers, also play a role in this cycle. Although they seem to consume everything around them, they can eventually release matter and energy in the form of radiation, contributing back to the fabric of the universe. It is a reminder that even in the deepest darkness there is a cycle in motion. The question that remains is, what will be the future of matter in the universe? Some scientists suggest that over time the universe could experience a big freeze, where matter disperses so widely that stars extinguish and galaxies separate. But even in this scenario, matter never ceases to exist. It simply changes form and becomes part of a new cycle. So the next time you look at the stars, remember that they are not just points of light in the sky. They are evidence of an eternal cycle, a reminder that matter and energy are in constant transformation. We are part of that cycle, and our existence is intertwined with the vast universe around us. Matter recycles, transforms, and continues its journey through time and space. In every corner of the cosmos, the cycle of matter goes on, reminding us that everything is connected in this grand cosmic symphony. Have you ever wondered what happens at the heart of a black hole? These mysterious cosmic objects are not only fascinating due to their nature, but they also play a crucial role in the life cycle of the universe. To understand the importance of black holes, we must first explore how they form and evolve over time. The life of a black hole begins with a massive star. Imagine a star shining brightly like a torch in the darkness of space. This star, at the end of its life, exhausts its nuclear fuel, leading to an internal collapse. Gravity, which was previously balanced by the pressure of nuclear fusion, takes control, and the star disintegrates in a titanic explosion called a supernova. But this is where things get really interesting. If the collapsing star is massive enough, its core contracts so much that it gives rise to a black hole. Now, what exactly is a black hole? Visualize a funnel on a flat surface. Everything that approaches the edge cannot escape, and at the bottom of the funnel, everything is lost. That's what a black hole is like in space. It has an event horizon, which is the point of no return. Beyond this limit, nothing can escape. not even light. That's why they are black, because they do not reflect or emit light. As these black holes form and grow, they begin to attract matter around them. This process is almost like a giant magnet pulling in everything that comes close. Matter from nearby stars, gas and dust accumulates into a rotating disk that forms around them. This disk, known as an accretion disk, heats up to extreme temperatures and emits radiation in the form of X-rays. So even though we cannot see a black hole directly, we can detect it through the energy emitted by its surroundings. But what is the fate of a black hole? Can they live forever? The answer is more complex than it seems. According to Stephen Hawking's theory, black holes are not completely eternal. Over time, they emit a form of radiation known as Hawking radiation, which allows them to slowly lose mass. This means that over billions of years, a black hole could eventually evaporate completely. It's a surprising idea. Black holes, which seem to be insatiable devourers, could have an end. Black holes can also interact with other black holes. When two black holes come close, they can start to orbit around each other like two dancers on a cosmic dance floor. Over time, this gravitational dance can lead to a merger, creating an even more massive black hole. This merger releases an enormous amount of energy in the form of gravitational waves, which have been detected by scientists on Earth. Thus, black holes not only devour but also create and transform the cosmos. In the vast universe, black holes act as catalysts for galactic evolution. Their gravity can influence star formation and the evolution of galaxies. Think of them as the conductors of a cosmic orchestra, where each star and planet follows their lead. Without them, the structure and behavior of galaxies would be completely different. The influence of black holes is not limited to their immediate surroundings. Some studies suggest they may play a role in the formation of new stars. When a black hole consumes matter, the material that is not absorbed can be expelled in powerful jets, creating shock waves that induce the formation of new stars in nearby regions. In this sense, black holes are not just destroyers but also creators in the life cycle of the universe. However, the mystery of black holes goes beyond their formation and their role in galactic evolution. It is said that at the center of many galaxies, including our home, the Milky Way, resides a supermassive black hole. This black hole, millions of times more massive than our Sun, influences the dynamics of the entire galaxy. What does this mean for us? It reminds us that we are connected to a cosmic cycle much larger than we can imagine. As we explore the universe, black holes teach us about the nature of time and space. Einstein's relativity tells us that time behaves differently in the proximity of a black hole. The closer we are to the event horizon, the slower time seems to pass. It's as if these mysterious objects are challenging our understanding of reality itself. The existence of black holes also raises philosophical questions. If a black hole can absorb information, where does all that information go? This is the enigma of the information paradox, which remains a topic of debate among physicists. The idea that information could be lost forever challenges fundamental concepts about the nature of the universe. In conclusion, the life of black holes is intertwined with the life cycle of the universe, from their formation in the collapse of massive stars to their influence on the creation of new stars and their potential evaporation. Black holes are more than mere devourers of matter. They are a reminder of the complexity and beauty of the cosmos, where each cycle has its purpose and every element plays a role in this vast cosmic symphony. As we continue to explore, black holes will remain a source of wonder and mystery, leading us to question our place in the universe and the very nature of reality. What makes a solar system unique? Each one, like a small neighborhood in the vast cosmos, has its own story, its own life cycle. From its formation to its possible extinction, these solar systems go through various stages that constantly transform them. It is fascinating to think that just like us, solar systems also have a beginning, a development, and eventually an end. The life of a solar system begins in a place where conditions are suitable for star formation. A nebula, this giant cloud of gas and dust, is like a great cosmic workshop Within it, small regions of higher density form that, under the influence of gravity, begin to collapse. Can you imagine watching a cloud of dust and gas, seemingly static, turn into a brilliant star? That is the first step in the life cycle of a solar system. Once the star is born, it begins to shine and heat its surroundings, causing the surrounding material to clump together to form planets. The planets are like the star's children, each with its own personality and characteristics. Some are rocky, like Earth, while others are gas giants, like Jupiter. This process of planetary formation is a cosmic dance, where each element plays a crucial role in creating a balanced solar system. But what happens after the planets are in place? In a solar system, the star becomes the center of attention, but it is not alone. As time passes, the star begins to consume its nuclear fuel, triggering changes in its structure. These transformations are inevitable and, in a way, are part of its nature. Imagine a star at a party that never ends. But its energy is running out, and the atmosphere begins to change. In its final phase, a star can become a red giant, expanding and engulfing the closest planets. This is a dramatic moment where the planets face their fate. Some may survive, while others are destroyed or expelled to distant regions of the solar system. Here, the life cycle of the planets intertwines with that of the star, creating a narrative of transformation and rebirth. After the red giant stage, the star can end its life in different ways. If it is massive enough, it can explode in a supernova, scattering its elements across space. It is as if the star, in its final grand act, gifts its essence to future stars and planets. This explosion is not only spectacular but also fundamental for the creation of new solar systems. How can something so destructive give rise to new life? On the other hand, if the star is smaller, it may end up as a white dwarf, a remnant that slowly cools over billions of years. In this case, the star becomes a silent beacon, reminding us of the splendor of its youth. At this point, one could say that the life cycle of the star has come to an end, but its legacy endures in the planets that surrounded it. Solar systems are not static. Over time, they can experience interactions with other solar systems. Sometimes they may merge or be influenced by the gravity of nearby stars. This dynamic between solar systems is like a cosmic game where each player has its own set of rules and strategies. Have you ever imagined what it would be like to observe two solar systems colliding and merging, creating a new stellar family? As solar systems evolve, so does their environment. Planets can be affected by cosmic events, such as the arrival of comets or the influence of black holes. Each of these factors can drastically alter the life cycle of a solar system. It is a reminder that, in the universe, nothing remains the same for long. The life of a solar system is, therefore, a cycle of creation, transformation, and ultimately, renewal. The death of a star does not mean the end, but rather the beginning of another story. The heavy elements created within it are the same ones that form planets, asteroids, and even life itself. In this sense, each of us is connected to that cosmic cycle through the atoms that make up our being. Just as in nature, where cycles of life and death are essential for balance, in the cosmos we also find this same dance. Solar systems, despite their immensity, follow patterns that are deeply familiar. The creation of a new solar system is a nod to the cyclical nature of the universe, where every ending is also a new beginning. At the end of its life, a solar system can behave in unexpected ways, leaving traces in space that can be observed by future civilizations. The stories of solar systems endure, written in the stars that shine in the night sky. The next time you look up, consider that every star you see is part of a larger cycle, a chapter in the history of the universe. Reflecting on the life cycles of solar systems invites us to think about our own place in the cosmos. What legacy are we leaving? How do our lives intertwine with those of the solar systems around us? In the end, the cycle of existence is a constant reminder that we are part of something much larger, a vast universe in perpetual transformation. The idea of a multiverse is as intriguing as it is astonishing. In a vast cosmos that seems to be infinite, could there be other universes existing parallel to our own? Imagine that the universe we know, with its stars, planets, and galaxies, is just a bubble in an ocean of bubbles. Each bubble represents a different universe with its own physical laws, dimensions, and realities. What if every decision we make, every path we choose, branches off into a new universe where a different decision was made? The multiverse theory poses a fascinating question. How many universes could exist? Some scientists suggest there could be infinitely many. Each of these universes might have its own history, its own evolution, and in some cases even its own forms of life. In this context, the life cycle of a universe could be very different from ours. In one of those universes, gravity could be stronger, causing stars to form and die in different ways. In another, perhaps the speed of light is slower, which would affect how light waves propagate and, consequently, how we perceive reality. As we explore this idea, an intriguing question arises. How do these universes relate to one another, if at all? Some theories suggest there could be interactions between them, allowing universes to collide or influence each other in surprising ways. Imagine a universe where life has developed in a completely different manner, and suddenly a cosmic event allows both realities to intersect. What would happen to the beings of each universe? Could they communicate or even collaborate in understanding the cosmos? The notion of cycles also applies to this theory. If each universe is born, evolves, and dies, what would the life cycle of a universe be like compared to ours? Some scientists propose that universes could have cycles of expansion and contraction, like a huge cosmic breath. In this cycle, a universe could expand to a critical point and then collapse in on itself, only to be reborn again in a new phase. This concept is reminiscent of stars, which also go through life cycles, but on a much larger scale. The idea that our reality is just one among many raises the question of the uniqueness of our existence. If there are other universes with different laws and configurations, does that mean our experience of life is exceptional, or conversely ordinary? In this vast sea of possibilities, we might just be a small corner of a much larger narrative. The possibility that other forms of life exist in other universes with their own stories and challenges leads us to question the meaning of our own existence. Thinking about the multiverse also opens the door to speculation about the ultimate fate of our own universe. If a universe can collapse and be reborn, could it be that our current universe is just a phase in an endless cycle of creation and destruction? Perhaps in a distant future, when the stars fade and the universe cools, a new bubble of universe could form from the remnants of what once was. This thought leads us to reflect on the nature of time and the eternal cycle of birth and death that seems to be present in all aspects of the cosmos. The concept of the multiverse has also found its place in popular culture. Movies, series, and books have explored the idea of parallel realities and alternate universes, fueling our imagination and curiosity. But how much of this is science and how much is fiction? The reality is that, although the multiverse theory has not been proven, it remains an active area of research in theoretical physics. Each new discovery in cosmology brings us one step closer to understanding whether we are truly alone in the universe or if we are part of something much larger. The implications of the multiverse lead us to reflect on the nature of destiny. If there are infinite versions of ourselves in other universes, does that mean our choices are less significant? Or conversely, does each decision we make in this universe carry even greater weight, knowing it could be creating a new path elsewhere? This philosophical dilemma not only challenges our understanding of free will, but also invites us to consider how our lives intertwine with the fabric of the cosmos. As we contemplate these ideas, it is essential to remember that the multiverse, while fascinating, is still a developing theory. Science advances through curiosity and exploration, and it is possible that in the future we will discover evidence that reinforces or challenges these notions. The quest for answers about the nature of the universe and its possible multiplicity is, in itself, a cycle of discovery that reflects the human longing to understand our place in the cosmos. Research on the multiverse also reminds us that, while our current understanding of the universe is astounding, There is much more to discover. Human curiosity is a powerful engine that drives science forward, and every new question that arises about the existence of other universes invites us to keep exploring, seeking, and questioning. Ultimately, the journey toward understanding the multiverse may be as valuable as any answer we might find. The multiverse theory not only challenges our understanding of the cosmos, but also invites us to reflect on the nature of life and existence itself. As we continue to explore these ideas, let us remember that each discovery is another piece in the puzzle of the universe, a puzzle that may be much vaster and more complex than we ever imagined. So, as we continue our journey through the stars and beyond, let us keep an open mind and a heart full of wonder at the possibility that there is always more to discover. What if I told you that the universe has a cycle that could be as inevitable as the passage of time? In this vast cosmos where everything seems to be in constant motion, there is a fundamental rule: entropy. But what is entropy, and how does it relate to the cycles of the universe? Imagine walking into a perfectly organized room. As time passes, the objects in their place begin to become disordered. This is how entropy works. It is a measure of disorder, and in the universe it seems that everything tends toward chaos. Now think of a balloon. When you inflate it, the air inside is concentrated. But if you let it escape, the air disperses in the room, filling all the space. This is similar to what happens with entropy in the universe. As time goes on, energy and matter tend to distribute more evenly, which means that the universe is becoming more disordered. But what does this imply for our future? The Big Freeze theory is one of the possible conclusions of this trend toward entropy. Imagine an endless winter where stars go out and galaxies drift apart until everything cools into darkness. In this scenario, the universe expands endlessly, and although some objects still exist, the energy disperses so much that eventually nothing could sustain life as we know it. Can you imagine a universe where heat and light have completely faded away? There's more. In this cycle of entropy, there are also moments of creation. When stars explode in supernovae, they release enormous amounts of energy and matter, seeding space with the necessary elements to form new celestial bodies. Thus, the chaos of destruction gives way to creation. It's like an eternal cycle of life and death where every end is a new beginning. But how long can this cycle continue? Imagine the universe as a gigantic clock. As it ticks, each gear represents a cycle of matter and energy. Some astronomers suggest that even as the universe cools and moves toward a state of greater entropy, there could be a reconversion. Perhaps, in a distant future, the universe could contract in a big crunch, where all matter and energy are compressed back into a single point. Could it be that the history of the universe repeats itself over and over again? The idea that the universe has cycles might make us reflect on our own existence. If everything is destined to be disordered and then renewed, what does that mean for us as human beings? Every day, our lives experience cycles of joy and sadness, creation and destruction. Perhaps we are a miniature reflection of the cosmic cycles that surround us. In this context, entropy is not just a physical concept, but also a reminder of impermanence. Every moment we live is a flash in this vast universe. And although everything tends toward disorder, every instant matters. Is it possible that our search for order and meaning is a response to this chaotic nature of the cosmos as we explore the role of entropy in the universe? We encounter the crucial question: is there anything we can do to combat this natural tendency toward disorder? Some scientists believe that understanding and manipulating energy may offer solutions. But how far can we go in our understanding and control of the universe before time runs out? It is fascinating to think that every star, every planet, and every form of life on Earth is part of a larger cycle. Entropy is the thread that connects our destinies with the cosmos. As the universe expands and evolves, we witness a process taking place on a scale we can barely imagine. In this eternal fabric, our existence is a whisper in the cosmic wind. The next time you look up at the starry sky, remember that every shining star is a reminder that even amidst disorder, there is beauty and purpose. Entropy may be a harsh teacher, but it is also a creator. In this cycle of life, death, and rebirth, we find hope and wonder. And so, the journey through the cosmos continues, weaving stories of light and shadow, of order and chaos. Entropy teaches us that, although the universe tends toward disorder, there is always room for creation. Every moment of beauty we experience is a triumph over inevitable dissolution. In the end, the cycle of matter, energy, and life continues its course, and we are part of that cosmic dance. Do you dare to keep exploring and discovering the secrets that the universe holds? Have you ever felt small while gazing at the stars on a clear night? That feeling of being surrounded by a vast universe full of mysteries goes beyond what we can see. The search for extraterrestrial life is a fascinating journey that invites us to explore not only our planet, but also the infinite possibilities that the cosmos offers us. What if we are not alone in this immense stage? To begin with, let's think of Earth as an island in an ocean of stars. On this island, we have found the right conditions for life, but are there other islands out there? The answer is an enigma that has intrigued scientists and dreamers alike. The diversity of environments on our own planet, from the depths of the oceans to the highest peaks, leads us to wonder what other forms of life could exist in places we have never explored. One of the keys to answering this question is the search for exoplanets. These are worlds that orbit stars outside our solar system. Imagine a neighboring solar system with planets that, like Earth, could have water, atmospheres, and perhaps even life. Modern technology allows us to detect these celestial bodies, and each new discovery brings us a little closer to answering that intriguing question. However, not all planets are the same. Some are too hot, others too cold. What would be the ideal place to find life? The habitable zone is a fascinating concept. It refers to the region around a star where conditions could be just right for liquid water to exist. An essential ingredient for life as we know it. But what if life can adapt to extreme conditions? On our own planet, we have found organisms that survive in hostile environments such as hot springs or Antarctic ice. This leads us to imagine that life could arise in places we would not have considered before. The moons of Jupiter and Saturn are an excellent example. Europa, one of Jupiter's moons, is a world covered in ice. But beneath its surface there is believed to be an ocean of liquid water. Could there be life in that hidden ocean? The possibility is exciting. Just like on Earth, life could find ways to adapt and thrive in the most unexpected conditions. Now let's talk about the discoveries of organic molecules in distant places. Scientists have found compounds that are the building blocks of life in comets and in the atmosphere of other planets. Does this mean that organic matter could be common in the universe? If so, we could be surrounded by ingredients for life, even if we have not yet found life itself. Moreover, the search for signals of intelligent life has captured the imagination of many. Projects like SETI, which looks for radio signals from advanced civilizations, lead us to wonder, if there are other intelligent beings out there, why haven't they tried to communicate with us? Perhaps the universe is quieter than we think. Or maybe we are looking in the wrong direction. The Fermi paradox arises here. If the universe is so vast and ancient, and there are so many stars with planets, where is everyone? This question leads us to consider the fragility of life itself. Perhaps life is rare and the conditions that have allowed it to flourish on Earth are a cosmic stroke of luck. Or maybe there are civilizations that have existed and gone extinct before we had the ability to detect them. Extraterrestrial life is not limited to planets and moons. There is also the possibility that life, in forms we cannot imagine, could exist in completely different environments. What if there are beings that live in gas? Or life forms that are completely different from what we know? The biological diversity on Earth is a testament to what can happen when conditions are right. Returning to Earth, our own existence depends on cosmic cycles that have influenced the development of life. From the formation of our solar system to the impact of cosmic events, each stage has led to the creation of a conducive environment for life. How do these cycles repeat in other places in the universe? Could there be other planets with stories similar to ours? It is fascinating to think about how the search for extraterrestrial life leads us to reflect on our own existence. Each discovery, each new theory, brings us closer to understanding not only the universe but also our place in it. The connection between cosmic cycles and life is a reminder that we are intertwined with the cosmos, that we are part of a much larger story. Finally, the possibility of finding life on other worlds invites us to open our minds and hearts. It is not just about seeking answers, but about embracing the curiosity and wonder that the universe offers us. And as we continue to explore, each star that shines in the night sky becomes a symbol of hope and discovery. Are you ready to embark on this cosmic adventure? The perception of time is a fascinating and complex topic that has intrigued philosophers, scientists, and dreamers throughout history. What is time really? Is it a river that flows constantly, or is it more like a series of cycles that repeat? To understand this, it is helpful to think about how we live our lives in relation to time and the cycles that surround us. From a young age, we are exposed to natural cycles that mark our day-to-day lives. From the cycle of day and night to the seasons of the year, these patterns teach us to measure time. But what if those cycles are just a small part of something much larger? In the vast universe, time could be a much more elastic concept than we believe. Ancient cultures developed calendars based on lunar and solar cycles. These calendars not only helped people organize their activities, but also influenced their way of thinking and understanding their place in the cosmos. Could it be that the way we measure time is closely tied to how we perceive our existence? When we look at the starry sky, do we not feel in some way connected to those cosmic cycles? Modern science tells us that time is relative, a concept that may seem strange at first glance. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, time is not constant. It depends on the speed at which you move and the gravitational force you experience. This means that for two people in different conditions, time can flow differently. Isn't it curious to think that time can be experienced in such diverse ways? The clocks we use daily mark a uniform time. But deep down, time may be more like a melody played in variations. If you think of a song, the measures can change, but the music keeps flowing. Thus, time could be more a set of rhythms and cycles than a straight line. How does this influence our perception of what it means to live? In nature, cycles are fundamental. Tides rise and fall, leaves grow and fall, and stars are born and die. Everything is intertwined in a great fabric of time and cycles. This interweaving makes us wonder, are we also part of a greater cycle? Human life with its ups and downs can be seen as a series of cycles: childhood, youth, adulthood, and old age, each with its own rhythm and meaning. The experience of time is also influenced by our emotions. When we are happy, minutes seem to fly by, while in moments of sadness, each second can feel like an eternity. Thus, time is not just a number on a clock, but something we feel and live. Is it possible that our emotions connect us in a deeper way with the cycles of the universe? Often people seek meaning in the cycles of life. Traditions, festivities, and rituals are based on the repetition of certain events, creating a sense of continuity and belonging. But what if those cycles are not limited to our human experience? What role do they play in the vast expanse of the universe that surrounds us? As we explore our existence, it is inevitable to ask ourselves, is there a purpose in the cycles of time? Some theories suggest that each cycle has its own meaning, and that by understanding them we can find our place in the universe. The story of our lives could be just a small part of a much broader narrative full of interconnections and purposes. And while we often focus on time as a line that moves forward, perhaps we should consider the possibility that it is more like a circle. In a spiral, each turn takes us to a new place, but also brings us back to past moments and experiences. This concept of cycles can help us better understand our own lives and the history of the cosmos. The perception of time is a personal journey. Each of us has our own way of measuring and experiencing time. Some may feel that time passes quickly, while others may feel that it drags on. This diversity in the perception of time reminds us that we are part of a constantly changing universe. full of surprises and mysteries. The connection between our perception of time and cosmic cycles also raises questions about the future. As we move forward, what cycles are yet to come? How will they impact our lives and the way we understand time? The curiosity about what is to come is a powerful force that drives us to explore, seek answers, and find our place in the grand scheme of the universe. Ultimately, the perception of time and the cycles that surround us are reminders that, although we are ephemeral beings in a vast universe, each of us has a story to tell. By understanding these cycles, we can find a deeper connection with the cosmos and with ourselves. So the next time you look at the sky or feel the passage of time, remember that each moment is part of a greater cycle, a cosmic dance that invites us to participate. The vastness of the universe is a mystery that invites us to reflect on our place within it. Throughout this cosmic journey, we have explored cycles that seem to repeat, like the seasons that mark the passage of years on our planet. But what does it really mean to understand those cycles? The answer to this question can change our perception of existence itself. By understanding these universal rhythms, we begin to see that everything is interconnected. Like the pieces of a celestial puzzle, the cycles we have discussed are more than mere repetitions. They are reminders that life in all its forms is part of a larger tapestry. From the life cycle of a star to the cycles of solar systems, each one teaches us something about the nature of creation and destruction. Isn't it fascinating to think that at the heart of a dying star, the elements that compose our very being are forged? Every atom in our body has a story to tell, linked to those cosmic cycles. People often wonder why dark matter or dark energy is important. The answer is simple. These invisible components of the universe are like the thread that holds together the fabric of everything we know. Without them, galaxies, stars, and even planets would not exist. By understanding their role, we can appreciate how the cycles of matter and energy shape the cosmos, influencing our own life cycles. It is intriguing to imagine how the search for extraterrestrial life leads us to consider not only our own cycle but also that of other civilizations. What if there are other worlds where life flourishes amid different cycles? The possibility that other beings are observing their own stars and planets reminds us that existence is not limited to what we know. The search for life beyond Earth is ultimately a reflection of our own curiosity and desire for connection. Time is another one of those concepts that captivates and fascinates us. The theory of relativity shows us that time is not a straight line, but a complex fabric that folds and stretches. How does this influence our understanding of cycles? By viewing time as a dance rather than a race, we begin to understand that cycles are not an obstacle, but an opportunity to learn and grow. Each repetition brings new experiences and reflections. Entropy, that concept often perceived as negative, also plays a crucial role in our journey. As the universe moves toward a state of greater disorder, it teaches us the importance of change and renewal. The idea of the big freeze, where eventually everything crumbles, reminds us that even in death, there is a cycle of life. This perspective encourages us to appreciate each moment, to recognize that each day is a new opportunity to create something meaningful. The precession of the equinoxes, though it may seem a distant phenomenon, has a direct impact on our calendars and the way we live our lives. Have you noticed how, over the years, the seasons subtly change? This cycle teaches us that time is dynamic and that we are constantly adapting to its rhythm. By understanding these cycles, we can find a sense of harmony in our own lives. The influence of the moon, with its changing phases, is a constant reminder that nature itself operates in cycles. Tides rise and fall, and with them, our emotions and moods. This connection between the moon and life on Earth invites us to explore how natural cycles influence our well-being. By paying attention to these connections, we can learn to live in tune with the world around us. At the end of the day, each cycle we have explored offers a valuable lesson. The evolution of galaxies, the death of stars, and the cycle of matter show us that everything is in constant transformation. What if cycles are not just a physical phenomenon but also a metaphor for our own lives? Each challenge faced and each achievement reached is part of a personal cycle that moves us forward toward new growth. Reflecting on our existence in the context of the cosmos can be overwhelming but also liberating. It reminds us that we are part of something much larger than ourselves, that our lives are intertwined with the universe in ways we are just beginning to understand. The importance of recognizing these cycles lies not only in knowledge but in the possibility of finding meaning in the shared experience of being human. In conclusion, understanding the cycles of the universe provides us with a new way to see our place within it. It teaches us to appreciate the beauty of life, the complexity of time, and the interconnectedness of all beings. The next time you look at the stars, remember that each one has its own cycle and that you too are part of an infinite cycle. This not only unites us all, but also inspires us to continue exploring, learning, and growing in this vast and wonderful universe.